Hi everyone, I want to take a minute and talk a little bit through the numbers PowerPoint presentation that is on Moodle. I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of working with numbers, and in journalism, just a reminder, it's not really about knowing math and mastering statistical information, but it's really about understanding specific terms such as proportion, sample, mean, median, because very frequently you will get some of these numbers in various reports or press releases that come to the newsroom, and as a reporter you need to know what to do with them, how to interpret them, to translate them from an audience that might not be as familiar with these particular concepts. So it's really about the ideas behind the numbers that is really important, not the numbers themselves, which are more the tool. So for example, if a press release comes to the newsroom with a table with statistical information, how do you read the table? And for example, the press release might come with a statement such as 1 in 8 women are at risk for dying from breast cancer. So you would have to look at the table and verify that information. Is this accurate? And if you're looking at the table, if you're getting to the last line where you have that 1 out of 8, which is really ever, which really is a signifier of the fact that the table is actually misrepresented. It's not ever, ever could also be by the age of 50. This should really read by between 81 and, whenever they die, which would be between maybe 81 and 100. The idea of one in 8 women are at risk for dying from breast cancer is quite inflammatory. So rather, you could phrase things such as, if a woman were to live beyond 80, then her risk of dying from breast cancer is 1 in 8. And remember, this is actually, if you're looking at the title of the table, which should be one of your first stopping points anyway, you realize that it's about a chance of getting breast cancer, not of dying from breast cancer. So really a better way to phrase it would be, if a woman lives to be beyond 80, then her risk of getting breast cancer is 1 in 8. Some other things that you have to think about is also the fact that many women die before the age of 80. So a statement such as 1 in 8 is at risk of getting breast cancer is quite inflammatory furthermore. As we're looking at numbers, recall also what we talked about framing earlier in the semester. If you're looking at the example here with a medical treatment, it is the same, using the same kind of information to say a medical treatment would give you a 68% chance of surviving versus saying that you would have a 32% chance of dying if you take a medical treatment. And if you're thinking about the way people react to information, it's a very different sort of reaction you will get if you say that you have a 32% chance of dying. So that's a third of people doing the treatment would be at risk of dying. Some other things to think about is, like I mentioned, when you're looking at a table, look at the title of the table first. What is it about? Is it about like, dislike, female, male, young, old? So you want to read the details of a table to understand what's in it, understanding what kind of numbers they are. Here it says right at the top, this is the percent of people who like, dislike. So the numbers you see here add up to 100, 65 to 35 plus 35, because we're talking about percentages. Some other things to pay attention to from this reading is what a survey is, and the fact that with surveys we really very frequently, when we're going across campus trying to interview students for an article that you may be writing or you will be writing in the semester, you're really actually getting a non-probability sample. And that's because we all have different preferences in terms of who we stop to ask a question of. Do we know someone? Do they look like someone that would be within our comfort zone to talk to? So people that are available, readily accessible are usually the ones we would talk to for a random quick survey on campus. Actually, the word random is inappropriately used in this context. A scientific ramble sample would be done with the help of a computer program where you're drawing numbers or you're drawing addresses or however people may be entered into a database. Something else to think about is that polls and information in polls cannot predict things that happen at the poll, so make sure that you go over some of this information from the PowerPoint. Also, the fact that question wording matters. It makes a big difference. How we ask questions. If you ask the question of, say, are you for or against a specific issue, you might get one response rate versus giving some context first and then asking a question. You're basically priming people to think of specific facts when you do that in the second example. And then once people are thinking within certain terms, they will answer the question much more personally, much more thinking about how the question affects their direct life. Also, question order makes a very big difference in the way that questions are asked. And also what people bring into a situation of a survey or a poll in terms of their background. So some people don't like to look odd in public, so they will not answer questions that they feel might make them look bad. How they relate to the interviewee, the people they're with, also affects the way that people answer. And of course, always people might have a commitment in terms of who they work for, who they represent, in the way that they might answer questions.